So, welcome to Beloved Blackness. So, last week I talked about the importance of self care and quoted Audre Lorde in terms of self care not being self indulgence, but self preservation and an act of political warfare. I want to piggyback on that idea, but and specifically still capturing Dr. Linda James Meyer's first phase of the psychology of oppression, where she says the physical survival is in the hands of the oppressor through dehumanization and terrorization. So the self-care piece, I connected that to the dehumanization aspect of having the physical survival of our ancestors in the hand of the oppressor. Or as we've been referencing, the enslaver. So if we think about the terrorization piece, when we think about psychic terrorization, it's to create a sense of fear, a sense of helplessness, a sense of feeling afraid of taking care of your own interests. Because if our ancestors had done that, then I mentioned this also a couple of weeks ago, that they would have been met with the lash, they would have been met with potentially some other kind of brutality like rape, some threatening, hurtful, harmful behavior in response to them taking an action to take care of themselves in some way, even if the taking care of themselves was to protect themselves from harm or to communicate with a loved one or someone from their same village. And so those cruel acts were done in order to create a sense of terrorization so that they will be afraid of the white enslaver and then succumb to the will of the white enslaver. And part of what I'm noticing now in our present day is that impact of psychic terrorism. We are on social media so many times showing incident after incident after incident of ways in which people of African descent are being disrespected and harmed, both physically and psychologically, by white people. And I want to caution us and say, be careful because of our history of trauma, this collective historical trauma that still continues to be perpetuated in terms of the trauma that we experience in the day-to-day lives of living in a white supremacist dominated society, that when we continue to post things about another atrocity that's happened, there are two pieces that fit with that. Oftentimes when we post, we'll say, oh, can you believe it? Why can't we believe it? I know Baba Kobe, my mentor, who I told you his transition was really the impetus of me just going on and starting Beloved Blackness. He would always say, look at history. Look at how they've always treated us. Why are we acting surprised? And so I want to say that to us now. Why the continual post of disbelief that we are being treated as if we are not persons, as if we are not worthy of dignity and respect? That's a given, that's how this system within white supremacy domination, how we will be perceived and then treated. Okay, so that's the first piece. So no need to post with questions of, I can't believe that this is happening to us. Believe it. This has been the case. Okay. The second piece is to take care of ourselves, that when we continue to post that can be a sense of helplessness that can develop, where we then feel as if our power, our agency is no longer in our hands because the system is so big that we can't do anything about it. And so I want to challenge how we take care of ourselves in response to knowing in our history that our physical survival has been in the hands of the oppressor to a certain degree, through the use of terrorization and dehumanization. And even though we are not enslaved the way our ancestors are, we are enslaved in some ways. We are still living in this system, and we have to be careful to push back against allowing ourselves to stay psychologically enslaved and not having how they would like for us to think about ourselves in terms of being overwhelmed and not able to do anything in response to the system, but to be able to connect to our agency. And part of connecting to our agency is seeing that we are worth more than continuing to re-traumatize ourselves or re-terrorize ourselves with one incident after another that we continue to tell one another about. And I'm not saying not to be ill. I'm not saying to be ill-informed. I'm just saying be careful about playing into the system that has used psychic terrorism as a way of enslaving us, but also as a way of keeping us oppressed psychologically. All right, until next time.